out on a hike today, and the other day me and my wife and my oldest daughter was on a beautiful hike at a place called Åsane. It's about a half an hour drive from Bergen, and we were planning to go on a new hike, a place we've never been before. And I brought my Action 2 and was thinking about this day I'm gonna capture some beautiful footage with the camera. And I put everything to auto just because I thought that the camera can handle that kind of footage, no problem at all. But I was totally wrong. The footage looks terrible, and the reason is quite simple, because of the full automatic settings on the camera. You must never ever do that. It's quite easy to change the setting on the Action 2, and I highly recommend doing that now and never shoot in full auto. And what I was experiencing after looking at the footage was quite simple. When you're out shooting with a camera, especially out in nature where you have variation in the lighting condition, it's quite easy to ruin the footage because you're getting in and out of different lighting conditions all the time, and the same with the shadows. So there's some simple steps you need to take, and it's quite easy actually. First of all, what's really important is to adjust the white balance. And I highly recommend in the midday to set your white balance to 5500, and of course shoot in 4K or 2.7K with the camera. 1080p looks terrible. And you also need to change your ISO setting. I highly recommend actually going a little bit high on the ISO, all the way up to 3200 or even 6000. And the reason is quite simple, because of the constant light changes. That's important to do, and white balance need to be fixed all the time. The camera does a pretty good job adjusting to the white balance if you're walking in conditions where there's not much variation in light. But if you're out in nature, especially using it as an extra camera, you need to do that. And I also recommend shooting in flat. And I know a lot of people don't want to do that because it's so difficult to grade. But actually, after playing with the footage a little bit, it wasn't that hard. Of course, you can shoot in normal color profile, and that profile looks really good. But there are a big problem with it, and that's actually the camera seems to be crushing the shadows, the blacks, quite a lot, and it's quite difficult to adjust it in a normal color profile setting. So I highly recommend shooting in flat. And I hope you can see now when I'm walking in and out of different lighting conditions that the footage looks pretty stable, and you don't have the big variation in light. And when we was on this hike the other day, it was quite, when I was pointing the camera in different directions, the camera keeps adjusting all the time, and it took a while until it locked on, and many of the footage was actually completely ruined because of that. So don't do that. Of course, you can choose to shoot in the normal color profile, and it looks quite good, but I recommend learning to grade the Cinelike profile. I'm not a professional at all. I'm just playing with the camera and playing with the settings and try to adjust it as good as I can. So in the Cinelike, there's not much you need to do because the profile is really flat. But like I said, you have some information to work with. So what you actually need to do is to adjust your shadows a little bit, the gain and maybe the gamma, raise that a little bit, add some contrast and add some saturation. There's nothing much to do at all. What I really like about the flat color profile, that you can make your grade your own in many ways. Because if you shoot in a normal color profile, everything looks the same as everybody else. So you have more freedom in flat to make it your own, and especially if you're shooting cinematic videos where you have some nice movements and slow motion in your image. Actually, flat color profile is the way to go. It's extremely wet today, terrible. But it seems like we're gonna have some nice days ahead of us, and that's great. So this is actually a perfect test for the camera today, because I'm walking on a trail and the lighting condition changing all the time. So hopefully you can see when I'm pointing the camera in a different direction, the condition doesn't change that much. Yeah, so let's wrap up the video of today. I changed the setting now to Rocksteady standard D-warp just to see how the footage looks. And I'm walking in pretty dense terrain where there's a lot of shadow, and we can see if the camera can handle this. And like I said, the ISO is pretty high. It's 8 o'clock, but still some lightning of course, but not much. This is a perfect opportunity for the camera to show what it can handle. So it was fun to go out and test this camera today. And like I said, I think this is the best video settings for this camera. Using a semi-auto setting for the camera and not let the camera handle everything for itself. I think it's important for you to have control over your settings and learn how to use it as much as possible. So do what I say or don't, but try it out. White balance, locked, like today, 5500, but you can change that of course. ISO, max 3200 or 1600. And the Cinelike, 4K 30. And of course you can change your EV compensation, so you have a little bit more control over the exposure in the image of course. I think it's set now to minus 0.7, so the footage should look pretty good. And of course I need to grade the footage because I'm filming in flat. So try it out and tell me what you think down in the description, how the image looks compared to the normal footage, normal color profile. And like I said, test it out before you go out and shoot a long video, because it's terrible when you're out and are thinking you are made a great video today and you get back, load up your files on the computer and you see that everything is ruined because of the auto settings. So if you play with the manual settings yourself, it's easier and better to have a little bit more control in the post-processing when you edit your footage. So yeah, tell me what you think down in the comment description, and give me a thumb up, and of course subscribe to my channel. Hopefully we can keep growing, that's my plan. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.